speaking of the Metroid franchise, there's a lot of times that designers don't take into account that sometimes a bug can actually make the game better. And I understand why, because, I mean, if you're someone who's designing a product, you see everything that glitches in the game, and you have a natural instinct to fix it. What they often don't consider is the fact that very often gamers exploit them for fun, because if you can turn Samus blue in Super Metroid, which there's a way to do that, so what? I mean, that doesn't really hurt the experience of the game. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I think some certain bugs that really prohibit the gameplay should be taken out, but some bugs can actually enhance the gameplay experience. And like
nowadays, if a bug is found in a game, a lot of the time it gets patched up. You know, like when Grand Theft Auto 4 came out, I think there was 3 patches that came out within like 2 months of that release. You know, so
that's the problem. Games today don't get totally finished.
Usually get plugged up anyway.
Maybe just leave it in the game if gamers are enjoying it. What's the purpose of it? I mean, if it crashes the game, I can understand. But, you know, there's no need for an instinctive fixing of all bugs. Try to consider whether or not gamers are having fun with it. I mean, so what if, you know, what's the name of that guy from Little Big Planet, Sackchild or whatever? You know, if you could turn Sackboy, like, you know, black in Little Big Planet, you know, through a glitch, so what? Who cares? There's no need to patch that.
You can make him black anyway. You don't need a glitch to do that.
Well, okay, but you know what I mean. That's not the point. It's not whether or not you need a glitch to do it. If by some glitch you did make him black, who cares? You know?
Okay, I get you now. Yeah.
If Nintendo came out today with a version of Mario Brothers without the minus world and the you know, the glitch there, people would be very mad. And for me, I would be mad if Sega came out with Sonic 1 for the Master System. In the first level, there is a glitch where if you take the invisibility TV and you go as fast as you can, you outrun the screen. And I think that's very funny. I would be mad if Sega would go back and edit that. The same with Mario.
I think a lot of the times they just don't consider this because, it's, like I said, it's instinctive. And I understand that because I've done some programming and stuff myself. But there's times when it's a product that the consumer is actively engaged in and is using it for fun, you can't treat it the same as if it's something like Microsoft Office where it's just used for business.
Well, like, I remember there was this instance on a game, the Fight Night Round 4. Online, there's this glitch that helps you win matches by circling the field, and it just draws in your opponent, and you just knock them out. But that was really kind of a bad thing because it was unfair, and the competitive thing, using a glitch like that is considered cheating.
For online, I can understand indiscriminate bug fixes, because when you're a competitive atmosphere with other players, yeah, that makes sense. But, I mean, for single-player mode play, it's different. So we're not really talking about for... But that is a good point, yeah. I mean, we did neglect to talk about how online play, the rules would be a little bit different for that. Here's one I wanted to talk about. A lot of companies, especially Japanese companies, won't respond to consumer demands. Like Sony, for instance. Sony is so reliant on the quality of their products, they don't even bother with a market strategy. And I think that hurts them because, you know, the fact is you do need to hype your product up or there's a lot of people that aren't going to buy it. That's why PlayStation 3 for so long has been in last place despite being, you know, a good system because they just refuse to hype their product up and get designers on board and get people buying their system because they just relied on its quality alone.
I think marketing has really gone up in gaming for this year. Like, once again, BioShock is a marketing strategy with, like, the Big Daddy on the poster. They're like the big poster boy.
Was unlike, you know, during the PS1, they didn't have much of an ego, right? They went, you know, oh, look, we've got the system you guys want. We've got everything you need. Give us a try. Come on. You know, just try us out. You know, and we'll do everything we can to make you happy. And then they came out with the PlayStation 2, and they went, you know, hey, you like the PlayStation 1? Here's the PlayStation 2. And then they would have the PlayStation 3, and they went, well, hey, we're the fucking bee's knees. We don't need to even tell you to buy this, because you're going to fucking pay us to buy it, you motherfuckers.
And they were right to an extent, but the thing is, I mean, you can't just rely on good reputation alone.
Arrogance is what put a lot of people off buying it, because we took a step back and went, hey, you know, here's something new and fresh and exciting. You should give it a try. which is the attitude that PlayStation had when they brought out the PS1.
Yeah.
And people went, oh, okay, we'll try that, you know. You know, they
Yeah,
did
I think
their full Nintendo usual, like Nintendo 64, they had that arrogance of, hey, we're the fucking bee's knees, you know, you love
Well, no, it's not exactly that. In Nintendo 64, they relied on the fact that it was 64 bits versus
Yeah,
the
exactly.
Sega Saturn and the PlayStation 1 being 32 bits to sell the system. And to an extent,
I
it
think
actually did. But there were games that wouldn't fit on the cartridges because there wasn't enough memory space. And that killed the game market to an extent and caused so many designers to move to making PlayStation 1 and Sega Saturn games until the Saturn died and there was just PlayStation 1 games because it's like, well, hey, we can't put this on the N64. It won't fit.
well, the main marketing strategy for Sony has been the amount of features they have. With like the PS1, it was like CD-ROMs, it was new technology, it was full motion video. The PS2, they had like the inside clock, they had the DVD, they had this Nazi controller, they had all these new games coming out. And now the PS3, they were relying on the same kind of marketing strategy with free online, Blu-ray player, all this kind of new shit coming.
And it wasn't
They
a
have
bad
all these
idea,
updates.
but here's the problem with it. When you have a product that costs way more than the competition, you can't just abandon your market strategy at all and hope the quality. It's like, yeah, I mean, it was costing them $800 to manufacture it, but they probably should have made that more known to the public, you know. I mean, people thought Sony was just trying to stiff them for all the money they could. That's not actually true, but it looks like it whenever you got a $600 system where your competitors have, you know, $400, $300, $250 systems, you know?
ego that put me off originally. You know, it wasn't until the PlayStation Slim came around, PlayStation 3 Slim, that they went, right, okay, they're actually starting to listen to us now. Whereas
Well,
before
they have
that,
a
they
better-
were going,
they have
you
a
know,
better
oh, we don't
market
care what
strategy.
you want. This is what you want. We're not going to listen to what you say you want. We're going to tell you what you want. You know,
Well,
and I didn't like that arrogance, you know. I
They
found
have
that
a better
bit-
market strategy now, but I think really more than anything.
Yeah, oh yeah, they picked up a lot since they brought out the PlayStation 3 Slim.
But I still think they got a lot to go because they're still reliant on just the quality of it, but they don't seem to hype it up very much. And I think, you know, Nintendo hypes up their Wii, but they still produce quality. So I don't think Sony should be afraid to hype up their PlayStation 3. You know, if Nintendo's any indication, hyping up your product doesn't mean that you're going to be like Microsoft and shank your quality.
So the problem with the Wii is the amount of bloody shovelware on that system is just ridiculous.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
well there's a lot of
I-
shovelware, but the thing about the Wii is, if nothing else, you can rely on what you relied on with the GameCube. GameCube pretty much just had Nintendo exclusives, although there were some other third-party exclusives, very few apart, but Nintendo's
I don't know about
games...
exclusives. I mean, the Nintendo GameCube had lots of games that were available on the Xbox and the PlayStation 2 as well. I didn't...
There's that, you know, and, you know, for those defending the Xbox 360, I can say, well, you know, GameCube, they had, you know, all sorts of multiplats on it, blah, 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 single A, double A. I could say that, but I'm more talking about the... And yeah, I mean, you got a point when you're... I see where you're going with that, because, yeah, I did have a lot of that. You know, the 360 fanboys that are defending the 360 really ought to think about what it was happening with the GameCube in retrospect. But my point that I was trying to make was, you know, Nintendo's exclusives are enough for any system, because they're really good at making games.
The games are really solid. I think that, but I think I'm going to go with the Sony exclusives in the long run.
Yep,